So I don't have a problem, but you might want. But I know he likes cool what's now. Yeah, he's always right. No,
Okay, so good morning. Shavua Tov. We're up to Daf Nun Zayin, and just to go Chazar a little bit, and also on Shabbos we're not all together. So the suggestion was made every Sunday maybe to make a sikkum of what happened. So more or less, the sugya on Daf Nun Vav on the bottom spoke about Nifus of Alayla, and the Gemara comes out over there that the Nifus of Alayla is if it was a weak wall, so then it's called a pshia, even though the animal broke out, but it was a weak wall, that's called a pshia. It might be totally if the less of a pshia separate bonus is chayiv. The Gemara says that even if at the end it did a onus, also it's going to be chayiv if it tunneled this way. But it comes out we hold less of a pshia separate bonus is chayiv. So if it was a weak wall, so it's chayiv because it was a pshia. If it was a strong wall, then it's a onus. If the wall fell down or the animal tunneled under. And the Gemara comes out over there that when it says in the Mishnah that it put in the sun, if it's in the sun, so then it gets agitated and then it'll do things that are crazy. So then it's even not only will it push the door as much as it could or try to get the door unlocked, it's also going to tunnel under, even though usually animals don't tunnel under, but that's once it's in the sun, so it does whatever it could. That was done with Aleph. On the Beis spoke about the Geneva. It says that Tzur Listim that Listim took it out without making a kinyan. So then they're putter. If they made a kinyan, it's your listim, I'm sorry, Prasul listim is pater because they only a groma. I within a shamayim, but pater within a adam. But if they you they took it out, so then the chayiv. So the Gemara says if they took it out, mamish, then push it at the chayiv. That's the regular gana. That was the Gemara here on top of the page here on the Nun Bava base. The Gemara said that pshit if they took it out, it's mamish there rishus. And the Gemara said there are chidushim over here that it just the ganav stood in the way to maneuver it. He didn't touch it, just maneuvered it that it should go out. That's also enough to be Mechayim from Begeneva. Maybe even though he's not called a Ganav, he's not has enough to you Begeneva because he didn't pick it up. He didn't make a Kinyan. Also, he has to do you Begeneva. He Kisha, the Gemara says also that if he slapped it, then that's what made it to go. Maybe that's called Mashicha. Rashi's Mashma, that's Mamash Mashicha, is Chayv and Chayu Begeneva. Maybe the Gemara just means that he also gets Chayuvim that if it's Mazik, not that he's considered a Ganav as far as if he doesn't become his. I think that the more other places also says that's considered a Kenyan Mashiach Mamish. That'll have other chiyuv also. Mashiach is the way that he steals it, and he gets all the chiyuv geneva. He's considered the ganav. So is Mashiach and Shini Rishus. Mamish becomes his. And he's of course he has to pay. That's the ganav, but that's the act of the geneva. After that, the Gemara said Masr the road doesn't just mean he gave it over to a shomer because that's the Mishnah before that the shomer takes all of their responsibilities of that it shouldn't be Mazdik Yedachid Shua Shomer Shamasal Shomer. I think more brings a machlokik Bava and I think Rabbi Lazar it was the pages ago, a long time ago. Shomer Shamasal Shomer is chayiv, but Pater is the shomer allowed to give it over to the next shomer. Over there we pass that it's not allowed to be chayiv. But here the Gemara says there's another chiddush about a Brazila. If there's some kind of an apprentice or a helper that is understood when I give it to a rower, that he has helpers. He doesn't just do the job by himself. So that's understood that he's allowed to give it to him, and even if he holds Shomer Shamasal Shomer is chayiv. But if he gives it over to his helper, that it's understood he's going to give it over to his helper, that's permissible, and the helper is the one who gets all the chiyuvim, and the original shomer is off the hook. And then we get to Isar the new sugya, and that's called shomer aveda. I don't know how it comes in today. Machavus also we didn't figure out why the sugya comes in over here, but it's interesting sugya. A shomer aveda. Somebody finds a lost object, so he has to watch it until he gets to the rightful owner. And what kind of status does he have?
I'll even be Meister Shaila. I think the original source of Sig is in the Mitzvah.
There's such a sugi over there. Okay, so why is yeah, okay, it's mentioned someplace else. So
that's
there it belongs. Why is it doing it over here? I don't know how it comes in. Sometimes you find some kind of connection, but I don't get the connection over here. Here there's a machlok. This is the sugya. Today's sugya that starts with Shomer Aveda. You have another Amud to go still from yesterday, but that's machlokis. What kind of status does he have? Machlokis Rabbi and Rav Yosef. Rabbi says he's Shomachina because he's not getting paid, so he has to watch it, but he's not getting paid. So. And Rav Yosef says it's Shomer Sachar. One of two reasons, either because he has the benefit called fruit of the Rav Yosef that while he's doing a mitzvah, so he's pater min a mitzvah. So if somebody's going to ask him for tzedakah, he doesn't have to answer because he's in the middle of doing a mitzvah, taking care of the lost object. Taisa says it doesn't mean just because the lost object is in his house. It means when he's being osik with mitzvah, if he's taking care of it, whatever he has to do to air it out. If he finds an animal that he has to take care of the animal in order, he has to walk the dog, whatever it's going to be that he has to. So while he's osik, he's pater from tzedakah. So that's considered a monetary gain. Maybe it's considered a shom b'socher. Another reason the Gemara says because he's meshuvit, I'm not sure what that means exactly. Since the Torah obligates him, but why the Torah obligates him? That's true. Is that called the schar? I'm not sure what the schar was. Yesterday we spoke about the schar. He gets an olam haba. Is that considered? Probably not. You don't find that we don't take that into shom b'socher. So what the Gemara says that if the Torah obligated him, so it obligated him on a high level of shmira. But the machlokes Rabban of Yosef, what status does Shom Rabbeinu have? Shom Machinam or Shom B'Socher? And the nafkaminas we're going to see is that a Shom Machinam is potter on Genei Bava. So if you're watching it, of course, a posher, if he's negligent, then even a Shom Machinam is high. But if it was stolen or lost, so a Shom Machinam is potter, Shom B'Socher is high. Another point is that a Shom Machinam only has to do a Shmir Pchusa, and a Shom B'Socher has to do even a Shmir Me'ula, high more to do a better job. So that's machlokes. What status does a Shom Rabbeinu have? And the Gemara brought many rayas, eat both ways. Esau Rav Yosef LeRabba. He asked Kashas, the Gemara answered it. And another Kasha, the Gemara answered it. Then Rabba asked the Kasha to Rav Yosef, and he answered it also. And now we're up to the bottom of Nun Zayin Amaral. So far, we didn't find. I didn't just say Asikum now. I was just saying the Gemara dealt with it, but no one was knocked off. And the Gemara did say one point that changes things. That by an animal, that once it gets lost, so then you have to make sure that it's not going to. You have to put it in a place where it's not going to walk out again. You know that this animal walks out, so you can't just put it in the guy's house. You have to make sure that it's considered, even the shomachina was considered a pshia. It's not kaneva ba'aveda. A regular thing that gets lost, an object that gets lost. So then a shomachina is putter. But an animal that you know that likes to jump out, so then even a shomachina has to watch it well, and it's going to be chayv and aveda because it's considered a pshia. That was
also obligated to the owner of the aveda or to Hashem.
No, to the owner. He's going to have to pay. He's considered a posher, and therefore, if he's posher, he has to pay to the.
But by his choice, he's decided to.
It's not his good. It's not his choice. It's the Torah obligation.
It's the Torah obligation.
Torah obligation. Now he's like, now he has to watch it.
He doesn't have a direct contact to the. He doesn't know the aveda.
But he's high, and
he doesn't even know who he is. Maybe.
But then when he finds out, then he has to pay because he lost it, and he's lost it in a way that's considered a pshia.
Very interesting.
And the Shamasacher also, the case of the Shamasacher, he's a Shamasacher, and according to Yosef, and he has the chiyuv.
It makes sense, but only on a ruchni level. But you tell me it's on even a gashmi level. Even to
he has to pay him. He has to pay him. He has to pay him. Right. Also, yesterday came out at the end of the Gemara that there's a din of it's called shrichim das bailam. If somebody steals or he's a shomer, he has to return it. That the owner should know that it was returned. That's not good enough just to put it in his house, or he has to put it in a place that he has to know. He has to notify him. But a Shabbos Aveda doesn't have to. A Torah Ribsalo, but Torah Shabbos Aveda, it says Hoshif Teshivim, an extra pasuk to say that a Shomer Aveda, even if you hold that he's whatever you hold, Shomachinim Shomasach, he doesn't have to notify both of them. A Shomachinim Shomasach, both of them have to notify the owner when he returns it. But a Shomer Aveda is more lenient. This one point that he doesn't have to notify. He does puts it into his rishus in a place that it's watched, and it's considered a good hasham. And now the Gemara has one more kasha about the subject of now we're starting new. We're starting today's Gemara. Nun Zayin of an Aleph from the bottom. About how much? About 7-8 lines from the bottom. Abai asked Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef is the one who says it's Sham B'Socher. Still now was Rav against Rav Yosef. Abai is taking Rav aside. Amle Bala Rav Yosef about the Tizbra the Sham of the Beda Kisham Machinam Dami. We really did learn until the bottom, but we'll start from here. This is the beginning of the sugya. Rabbi Yochanan said, "Atointan is going to be aveda misham tashlum kefil." That's going to. So it's not asking from a Mishnah or Bryce. He's asking from Rabbi Yochanan. But Abai wants to prove from this statement of Rabbi Yochanan that he has a shomer aveda has a din of a shomer chinam. He was taking the side of Rabba that he only has a shomer chinam. Why? Rabbi Yochanan said there's such a thing called a tontan is ganav. A tontan is ganav means that somebody lies. A shomer, a picadon. You have your custodian for something, and the owner comes and says, "Give me back my thing." He says it was stolen. Tontan is ganav. Really, he kept it. He kept it. He didn't want to give it back, and in order to get out off the hook, he said it's stolen. Then we find out that it wasn't stolen; it was him. So he's called the tontan is ganav. He has a din of a ganav, and then he has to pay kefil. A ganav has to pay kefil. He has to pay double. And Yochanan said that this tontan is ganav does apply also to a aveda. If someone found an aveda, and then the owner of the aveda for some reason found out that he found it, and he said, "Where's my aveda? You found it." So he said it was stolen, and really it wasn't. So he's considered a ganav, and he's considered. Let's take a regular shomer. let's say a Shom Machina, that would fit in nicely. A Shom Machina, he said it was stolen, and it came out he's the one who took it, so he's considered a gun, but he has to pay kefil. Rabbi Yochanan said it also applies to a Shomer Aveda. Someone was watching a lost object, he found it, and he's keeping it, and then the owner came and said, give it to me, and he said it was stolen. He also is considered a Ton Tanis Ganav and B'Sham Tashlom Kefil. So the Gemara wants to prove from this that he's a Shom Machina, because what is the story? That he said it was stolen. It's being stolen an excuse for a Shom Machina. Being stolen is an excuse because the Shom Machina was put to Agnei Bava. The Shom Sachar is chayving Agnei Bava. So it wouldn't make sense if the case it's the Aveda, the Shomer Aveda is considered a Shom Sachar. So what does it mean? The guy comes to him and says, "Where's my lost object?" He says it was stolen. Okay, so pay up. That's not he's chayiv. He's admitting that he's chayiv. So then the din is if Adam come whatever, you find out that he's the one who took it, he doesn't have to pay because before also he admitted that he's going to pay. If a Shoma Socher says, someone comes to a Shoma Socher and says, "Where's my object?" He says it was stolen. That means I have to pay. So if later on we find out that he's the one who stole it, he doesn't pay kefil because he didn't try to get himself out of it. It only has to be mechiv l'ptur. It has to be a case that he would have been chayiv. He's really chayiv, and he said a time that's going to pater him. But if he said a time that's going to chayiv him, so he's not doesn't pay kefil. He gave himself in.
By saying that it was stolen.
Yeah, but Shoma Socher.
Watched it. Yeah, right.
So that's why I was asking. He's talking about the Shoma Socher Havi if a Shoma Aveda.
Sounds like he's confused, but she's not going to gain.
No, he was admitting he wanted to keep it. So he wanted to keep it. So he said, "I'll pay for it." He didn't say, "I want to buy it," because I doesn't want to sell it. So he says it was stolen, and I have to pay. But he wouldn't pay kefil. What?
Or he didn't have the halacha.
Oh, could be. But then he's not going to pay kefil because he had to pay. He's not that Shoma Sachar. If a Shoma Aveda is a Shoma Sachar, he's chayving Gnei Bava Aveda. I'm Mishlam Tashlum kefil. How come he has to pay kefil when it's found out that he's the one who took it? Kana boy Shlumi. He wanted to pay. He wanted to pay up. Rashi learns Kana boy Shlumi. He wanted to pay up the Karen. So when he said I was stolen, he wasn't patering himself. He was mechayiv himself. So this statement of Rabbi Yochanan, the Chor is a raya to Rabba that is Shomachina. Yes. Good. So this was a kasha on Rav Yosef. It sounds like Rabba. Rav Yochanan sounds like Rabba. Amalei. Rav Yosef said, he said it was stolen. It doesn't mean stam stolen. It was armed robbery. Listed means a robber, and Mezuyan means armed. Clay Zion. He's an armed robber. Armed robbery is onus. Is a what? Even a Shom is part because he's onus. That's considered onus. A Shom Mechinam is chayv Gnei Bava Aveda. A Shom Sachar is part of Gnei Bava Aveda, but chayv an onus. So he said it's onus. This robbery was an onus. So then that makes sense that even if he holds his Shom Sachar, he was saying that he's part of it. But the Mar's not happy with that. Amalei. I guess Abaye said to Rav Yosef, listen to Muzui Gazlanu. There's a difference between, it's true, it's an onus, but there are two kinds of, there's a robber, there's a ganav and a gazlan. And in English, I don't know if there's a difference in the word terminology, is there?
The armed robber and armed.
No, a ganav,
There might
a ganav and a gazlan. I need two words for a ganav and a gazlan.
Yeah. Well, a ganav is a robber, and a gazlan holds you up.
That
Right?
technically at night, but I think there might be like grand art, like a what?
right. In English, if you have a word in the kind of a robber, what is the kind of a robber?
Sneaker or
Yeah.
sneaker
Is he keeping it quiet?
At night when you sleep.
Right. So is there in English do they distinguish between the ones who are coming in secretly, the one who's doing it openly?
Gets away more. Or the one who confronts.
A burglar usually.
Opposite the Torah.
Gets in more trouble.
I guess he's more dangerous.
So the Gemara's kasha is that armed robber, the Gemara is considering that it should be a gazlan, and therefore it's not going to be kefil. It's true, it's onus. As far as the onus, it's an onus. Both of them is an onus. Whatever you hold, is a ganav or a gazlan. I'm sorry, an armed robber is considered an onus. But the Gemara is sleeping down now. But what kind of a guy is he, a ganav or a gazlan? The Gemara is doing very what's it called, fancy footwork, trying to get a case that it's a ganav that should be kefil. The case that was kefil, but we have a case that the Shom Sachar should be potter. Usually, Gnei Bava Aveda, the Shom Sachar is potter, and there's kefil. And if it's going to be an onus, so then the Shom Sachar is potter, but there's no kefil. We have to find a case. That's what the Gemara is trying to go between the drops over here. The Gemara has to find a case in order to answer Rav Yosef that it's going to be a Gneva, which has kefil, but the Shom Sachar is going to be potter with such a case. The Shom Sachar says nignav, and he was trying to potter himself, but at the end, it's considered enough of a time to turn down his gun that is chayiv kefil. Which onus is chayiv kefil? So the Gemara thought to find the case. A list of Mizuin, an armed robber, it's considered an onus, but still it's considered a robber, and therefore there's kefil. So the Gemara, that's what Yosef's answer was. But Abaye protests that it's a gazlan, and you're right that it's an onus, but it's a gazlan, and it's not going to be kefil. If
He's gonna be Potter?
In the time he'd be put there. The socher, the shama socher, shama veda, shama socher. According to Rav Yosef, he says that it was armed robbery. So we say, okay, you put it. But then we find that he's the one who kept it. So he was tining a taina of it wouldn't have been, if you hold this a Goslin, so he wouldn't be chayiv kefil. It's very
Potter from
he'd be Potter
for pay, but
yeah, but he wouldn't be kefil then because it's not called a ganav, it's called a Goslin. It's I don't know the difference why a towing tan is ganav. All the cases he stole it, he kept it in his back pocket. But it's different what he says. If he says a towing tan is ganav, then he's going to be chayiv kefil if he kept it. If he's a towing tan is Goslin, then he's not going to pay kefil when he's found to be the one.
That's what he did. He snuck it.
What do you mean?
That puts him to what?
Yeah. What he did, he put it in his pocket. That's true. But the chayiv kefil is only going to be. He didn't. No. It wasn't when I was looking. That he was a shomer. He was given to as a picadon. So that's not a regular. It's not a regular gana. The fact that he just with his words. So for some reason the words become his act. I don't get this.
What his time is? What his time?
Right. Whatever his time is. The towing tan is gana. He's the gana. The towing tan is Goslan. He's the Goslan. I don't get it. But that's the halacha later on in Meru. But it's going to be more. I hope we get clarity over there. All we have to know is that a towing tan is ganav is chayiv kefil at the end when he took it, and the towing tan is Goslan is butter from kefil. And here the Gemara is asking on Rav Yosef that this case says that a Shabbos Aveda he's pattering himself by saying that it was stolen, and Rav Yosef says the ganav he's Shama Sacha, so he's not pattering himself. That doesn't make sense. You have to say that as armed robbery. But the Gemara is asking armed robbery is a Goslan, so he's a towing tan is Goslan, and at the end when he finds out he's the one who took it, so he shouldn't pay kefil. So he said, no, I hold Shani Omer, bottom line, this is the that even an armed robber, but since he's still hiding from people, he doesn't go in broad daylight. He goes and he hides from people, even though he's armed, that's called a ganav. So that's the answer to the question. I found the case, Rav Yosef says I found the case that he's called a ganav, but it's enough of an onus that the Shama Socha is going to be put there. Again, we have to find the case. That's the riddle over here. According to Rav Yosef, you have to find the case that it's enough of an onus that the Shama Socha is going to be put there. He says a Shama Aved is like a Shama Socha. Shama Socha is chayv g'neiv of Aved. You have to find the case that it's a bit more than a regular ganav, and it's enough of an onus that the Shama Socha is going to be put there, but he's considered enough of a ganav still that if he was towing tan, this time is still going to be a towing tan ganav, and when he find out that he had it, he's going to pay kefil. So Rav Yosef says I found it. It's a list of Mizuyan who goes in the dark. He goes in at night. That he's hiding from people. So on one hand, it's an onus. It's enough of an onus that the Shomer Socha should be put there, but it's still enough of a ganav that it's called a towing tan ganav and he pays kefil. And that's the end of the sugya.
Because he's going in the dark with the fact that he's armed shows that he's afraid of people.
I thought not. I thought that it means that he hides from people. Mitma. He hides from people. If this guy goes in the street with and not get anybody, that's not, even though he's scared of people, that's why he has the rifle, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
But I don't think so. I think because he hides from people.
Mr. doing killing the mitzvah.
In the case where he's hiding. I thought it means in the case where he's hiding. If he comes at night, that's called the towing tan ganav, and he's going to pay kefil. It's enough of an onus. What is it? You have a translation, anybody? Okay. So I thought that's the pshat. That in a case where he's hiding from people, so it's called the ganav, but it's enough of an onus that the Shama Socha is put there.
We want me to check that? We want that?
We're on the bottom of Nun Zayin Amud Aleph. The bottom, come on, mamish, the bottom line. How they translate?
I thought there was a way of saying that somebody that has a gun is hiding behind the gun, and he could be considered a ganav because he's.
That's what I've listened. That's what I've listened was saying. I was suggesting that it means in a case where when he is hiding, if he's hiding, if he's comes with armed robber.
I hold.
Yeah.
That any list of Mizuyan, since he's hiding behind the rifle.
But I hold that doesn't show. I can say I hold also. I can translate those words. I hold that list of Mizuyan. If he's hiding,
if he's hiding,
The article has a note over here. Might be helpful.
the translation.
First of all, the translation is since an armed robber hides some people, he's actually a thief.
Okay, what does he say?
And then he has a note. The armed bandit resembles the thief in as much as he is afraid to rob openly and brazenly. He attacks his victim where others will not see.
Okay, no. Okay, so he says then he's saying in a case where he went where others will not see.
So
In the
robbing
case.
during the day also with the mask on, same thing.
I'm not sure if that's why he doesn't want to get caught, but he's brazen enough to. I think a regular Goslin without any arms is called a Goslin. If he goes in the open daylight, I don't think it has to be that he doesn't want to get. He doesn't want to get caught. He's doing things not to get caught. I think it's still called a Goslin. The sugya here is over. Even though there's another amma to go, the ikka sugya is over. Means the rest of the sugya, if I got it right, is only going on this last terrace if a list of Mazuyan is a Ganev or a Gazlan.
But
Means
the list
going on
okay.
list of Mazuyan. Yeah, go ahead.
His list of museum is he has an arm, he has the weapon hiding it, or
No.
he has a whole
It does make a difference how he's holding the gun. But if he goes at night, in a case if he's hiding for people, he's not going brazenly, openly. That's called a gun. The same way as General Gun of Gazlan till today. Till today, we know there's a gun that goes in secrecy, and there's a gun who does it in broad daylight. That's called a Gazlan. So now the Gemara is talking about if he's armed. So Rav Yosef says it's the same thing. It depends if he's going in secrecy or he's going openly. But he says that it's enough of an onus. The fact that he's armed, that's enough of an onus that Shomer Sofer will be put to also. And the sukkah is over. It means the sukkah of Shomer Abed is over. The Adam Chokes Rabbi and Rav Yosef, each one tried to bring a rye, each one answered the other one's rye, and the sukkah is over. It means, of course, the sukkah is going to, if we're going to knock off this point about List of Mazuyan being a Ganav, if we're going to show that he's a Gazlan, so if Yosef's last terrace is off, and if Yochanan is going to be a rye to Rabbah. But that's the rest of the sugya now. So I put it, just to explain, I put it into parentheses, this till the rest of the sugya, because now we're going on the tangent. We're going to prove this side point if he's Taka Ganav or a Gazlan. But the more is not going to be any more rice. The rice of the Gemara, I think the rest of the rice are not going to be any more if a Shomer Aveda is a Shomer Sofer or a Shomer Chinam. That we finished already. But that's this last point, which triggered the sugya about if a list of Mazuyan is a Ganav or a Gazlan, that's going to be the rice that we're going to deal with for the rest of the sugya. As far as the Allah Shomer Aveda, there's machlokes Rishonim, and even machlokes poskim. Who you paskin like? Usually Rabba against Rav Yosef, paskin like Rabba, but some hold like Rav Yosef. And this over here, and with Beis, Nun Bava with Beis, he brought down the two shitas, and I think even Allah also comes out of machlokes. I think if Shomer Aved is a Shomer Chinam or a Shomer Sofer.
So what do we paskin? And
I think it's also maybe Shomer Aveda. I just wrote Apa Poskim Nechlekul Allah. Even the Poskim argue. It's Shomer, it's a Machlokes Rishonim, and even the Poskim also argue. Reish Amazayin, Sif Tezayin, and the Bir Agra. So I don't know. Allah Lamaisa, I don't know. It is interesting the point about Puta de Rav Yosef, that whole concept that when a person is doing a mitzvah, he's put there from giving stuff, and therefore maybe a Shomer Sofer. Interesting concept. Yesterday we mentioned when people are davening in shul and someone comes to ask for tzedakah, so the pasha says you don't give because you're in the middle of doing a mitzvah, middle of davening. So you don't do like Puta de Rav Yosef by Shabbos Aved. They're also the same thing by davening. And besides that,
the whole davening, or just
I think the whole davening.
Is it okay if you send a sign that doesn't take any brain power? Like you have a.
He takes it on his own even.
Or sometimes,
They take it on their own. So okay, you set up a system that.
I know
you
that
have
the cook does. They use a bunch of half the shekels.
and everybody knows to take out. Okay. The rest of the sugya now goes. Yeah, go ahead. The fikach list of Mazuyan.
איזהו גנוב, זה לוקח ממון אודם בססר, ואין הבעלים יודעים. כגון הפושט יודו לסוף כסברו, לוקח מאוסו ואין הבעלים רואים. וכן כל כיוצא בזה. אבל מלוקח בגולוי, דבר הסף, חוזק יד, אין זה גנוב אלא גזל. לפיכך לסת מזויים שגנוב, אין
שגנב. לסת Mazuyan שגנב. I think so.
That list of Missouri Shigona and a Gaza and
I think so. Okay, maybe it's just maybe you can learn differently. I think that it's saying in the case where he did it in a way of Geneva, then it's called a Ganem.
That's why most of the people call me after davening. You
have to do that after that.
You're having
Eighth phase. So the rest of the sugya now is going to go into the subject if like the list of Mazuyan is a Ganem or a Gazlan. Eighth phase. So we're now on with Vase, no Zion now with Vase.
Doesn't it say to give doing a you should give?
Well, that's what people said yesterday.
And what?
You said yesterday about by Baruch David.
That reason says that.
That's why he's supposed to stand up by Baruch David. The minute is to stand up by Baruch.
Because they're giving
the
stuff.
Gabbai when around the shul collecting, they stood up to the Gabbai.
Oh, that's what's
I think that
So you're saying in other words you can sit down. Because the Gabbai is not coming around anymore.
Well, you still for the Gabbai or for the tzedakah?
For the one who's doing for the one the cover the Gabbai who's he's only mitzvah. Like when
There could be that. So maybe I'm bringing maybe Isaac mitzvah is only when it's a clear mitzvah. Sukkah the Zimra is not a mitzvah. It's
Okay.
Indian.
Okay.
this year.
Okay. any of
Yeah.
that.
I know
That's
the
okay.
Big Miller Zatzal, he said by Birks Yos you shouldn't give. I don't remember him saying that.
Okay.
It's in the middle of a bracha. Of course not. That's supposed to do anything in the middle of a bracha.
Okay. So the more as a
Okay.
now we go on to the sugya of listening was doing as a kind of a gazan. So the more top line low. Now in the middle of a brisa, we don't have to know what it's talking about. And Rashi and Tesi doesn't know. Tesi tries to find out, but it doesn't make a difference in the far as the sugya goes what the brisa is talking about. But in the deal low, no. The Gemara wanted to learn out something from a shomer chinam to a shomer sachar, and the premise in the brisa was that a shomer sachar is more stringent than a shomer chinam, which is say pashtus. Of course, a shomer sachar has more chiyuvim, but the brisa says no, that a shomer chinam has more chiyuvim. In something, there's some case that a shomer chinam is more chomor than a shomer sachar, because by shomer chinam he could come to pay kefil sometimes, but a shomer sachar never could come to pay kefil. Why is that? Because a shomer chinam he says that it was stolen, so he's pottering himself. And then when it comes out that he's the one who stole it, so he's a time is ganav, and he's going to pay kefil. So a shomer chinam could come to pay kefil, but a shomer sachar can never come to pay kefil. Of course, the reason why he can't come to pay kefil is because when he would say that it was stolen, so we say, okay, so pay up. But that the Gemara looks at as a lenient, comes out of leniency that it's not going to make him ever pay double, and the shomer chinam could come to pay double if he be time is ganav. That's so the Gemara wants to derive from here if there's such a case of a list of mazuin. Is it? We just finished saying, I'll give you a case that a shomer sachar is going to be chayiv kefil. V'yisakadayitach list out kind of brisa. Now the Gemara takes over. V'yisakadayitach list of mazuin ganav. If you're right, that an armed robber, if he does it in secrecy, he's considered a ganav. There's a case of a shomer sachar also that's going to be chayiv kefil. Nimsa v'shomer sachar misham tashlumei kefil. The Torah has list of mazuin. If the shomer sachar, we're not going into Shomer Veda now. We finished that subject. But a Shomer Sachar, you say that if he has listed Mazuyan, so it's enough of a notice that he's putter. But then later on, when it comes out, he's a ganav. So it was called a Torah Tanis ganav, and he has to pay kefil. So why does the Brisa make a statement, the fact that Shomer Sachar never pays Tashlumei kefil? He also does if he would have listed Mazuyan. Amalei. So Rav Yosef gets out of the Brisa. Says gets out of it. The Brisa doesn't mean that. Lachi kamma. Lo imamid b'Shomer Sachar chinam shekem misham Tashlumei kefil b'chol tanosa. It's true, there is a case. The Brisa doesn't mean there's no case. The Brisa means to say there are more cases. There are more cases that a shomer chinam is going to be chayiv kefil than a shomer sachar. Because in the case of a regular tainus ganav, so a shomer chinam is going to end up paying kefil, and a shomer sachar is not because he's saying that I'm chayiv. But there is a case. The Brisa doesn't mean to say there's no case at all. So he got out of that kasha. Next point, Esvei. Again, we're in the sugya. If a list of mazuyin is called the ganav or a gazlan, it says v'nish bar umeis. We'll try to do by Rashi. That's yeah, we're getting it right. Okay, thank you, Dr. Fine. It says v'chi yishal ish me'imra yev v'nish bar umeis ba'lo b'ni moshalem mishalem. So what a shoel, and a shoel is chayiv on onsim. There are four kinds of shomim: shomachinam, shomer socher, and shoel. And the shoel is chayiv even on onsim. When you borrow something, you chayiv even on onsim. It's only part of meis machus malachim. So this, the pasuk says, is called v'nishbar omes, shvur mesa, that it broke, the animal broke or died. So the shoel is chayiv. V'nishbar omes. It says that the shoel is chayiv on onsim, but the Brisa says ein liyel shvur mesa, gneva baveda minayin. The pasuk only says that it's chayiv on onsim. Is it chayiv on gneva baveda? So the pasuk, even a shomer sachar is chayiv gneva baveda. Amit kal v'chomer, you can learn a kal v'chomer from a shomer sachar. Ma shomer sachar, shepata bo shvur mesa, chayiv gneva baveda. That a shomer sachar is potter on onus, but he's chayiv on gneva baveda. So a shoel that's chayiv in shvur mesa, he's chayiv on onsim. So surely he's chayiv on gneva baveda. We would say the same thing. And then chayiv gneva baveda. If a shomer sachar that's potter on onsim, he's chayiv gneva baveda. So a shoel that's more chomer that is even chayiv in onsim. So surely he's chayiv gneva baveda. Push it. But and the Brisa says, this is a irrevocable, whatever the word is, irrefutable. You can't knock off this kal v'chomer. Kal v'chomer, that's 100% foolproof. That's the end of the Brisa. Now the Gemara goes into this question about list of mazuyin. If you have Yosef holds that an armed robber is considered a ganav, if he did it in secrecy, why do you say there's no way, there's no pircha? I can knock off the kal v'chomer. I can say that there's a chumrah. The Brisa understands partially that a shoel is more chumrah than a shomer sachar. The fact that gneva baveda, that a shomer sachar is chayiv, and the shoel is potter, and the shoel is chayiv. But if you hold that that a shomer that a tontan is ganav, a list of Mazuyan, I'm sorry, that a list of Mazuyan is considered a ganav, I could give you a case of a chumrah of a shom masacha more than a shoel. The same as the Bryce used on top of the page. Is there a case that a shom masacha is going to pay kefil? A shoel is never going to pay kefil because whatever he says, he's always chayiv. The only thing is Ma'asimach Shmulacha. Ma'asimach Shmulacha is not a Toin Tanis Ganon. So there's no case that a Shoal Lev is going to pay kefil. But there could be a case that Shomer is going to pay kefil. You have Yosef say that it could be a case of a Shomer paying kefil if he's Toin Tanis listed Mizuyan, and at the end he's the one who kept it. It's enough of a notice that it should be potter. So he was tying a Tana Ptur, and still it's considered a Toin Tanis Ganon if he's going to pay. So there is a case of a Shomer being more chayiv than a Shoel. So the Kalvachomer of the Bryce is not true. Amalei, so I guess Rav Yosef answers, it doesn't consider this a chumrah. The top of the Bryce on top did consider it a chumrah, the fact that you could eventually sometimes come to kefil. But this time that's not like that. It goes according to the without any shvua. If the regular pshut, the pasha the chiyuvim of a shom sacher and a shoel, for sure the shoel is more chayiv. The genei bava veda, the shoel is chayiv, and the shom sacher is pater. And here also this case of an onus, he's pater, he's chayiv. But the fact that he could come if he would swear falsely and that he's going to come eventually to pay kefil, that's true. It's true that it'll come sometimes that the shomer sacher will have more chiyuvim. Like I said before, the shomer chinam also has more chiyuvim than the shomer sacher. Then the fact that it could come to kefil, but this time doesn't know that. He goes according to the ikar chiyuv, not according to the fact that since he's pater, it can bring him to a chiyuv also. It's like a kula dasi lidei chumra. The fact that he's pater, so that makes that he can pay kefil. Our time doesn't hold that, so he's not impressed with this kasha either. So this kasha also was off. Now we go on to the next one. The Gemara thinks that the next one is going to be a proof to him. So now we had two kashas on him, and he answered both kashas. Now we have support to show that maybe armed robber is called a ganav, but not a gazlan. It says hasocher par mechaberu v'nignava. Somebody rented. So what's a renter? A socher. So there's going to be a machlokas coming up. It's considered a shomachim or a shomer. Therefore, shomrim, shomachim, shomer sacher, a socher, and a shoel. You guess so? That's how it goes. Shomachim, shomer sacher, and then a no say sacher. A shomer sacher means he's getting paid for watching it, and a socher means he's paying in order to use it. The renter. So there's going to be a question as to what kind of status he has. I think we doesn't go through that. But here it says somebody rented a cow, and it was stolen. And they came, okay, you got, but what's going to be? So the socher, the renter, he said, I'm going to pay. I'm going to pay. Even though I have the opportunity of swearing to be potter, I'm not going to swear, I want to pay. But the words of means that I have an opportunity to say a taina, that I'm taining really that I'm potter, but I don't want to swear, I'm going to pay. And then the ganav was found. It was really stolen. He rented it and somebody stole it from the renter. And then the ganav was found. The kefil goes to the socher. He was the one who was, despite the fact that he wanted to pay, he said, I'm going to pay for it. So now he becomes like the owner and it was stolen from him. And now when the ganav was found, the money goes to the socher. The kefil goes to the socher. That's the end of this. I forgot if it's a Mishnah or Brisa. Now the Gemara wants to analyze and figure out something about armed robbery. Savrua, those who were saying this raya in the Beis Medrash, they thought they were going according to Rabbi Yehuda. The Amar socher kenose socher dami. He holds that a socher has the din of a shomer socher. Kenose socher is another word for shomer socher. He gets paid. So if we take this brisa as the din of a shomer socher, what's the din? He's chayv genei bava veda and pater anonsim. Now it says midiktani v'amar v'eni b'shalim v'eni nishba mechaldi boy pater leinav shei b'shvua. The brisa says that he said, I'm saying that it was stolen. It was stolen, and I could swear and be pater. I don't want to swear and be pater. I want to pay. He didn't have to. He didn't want to swear. So he said, even though I could swear and be pater, I want to pay. But that means if he would have sworn, he would have been pater. So what was the title? What was he saying? He says if he's a shomer socher, he's chayv genei bava. So by saying it was stolen, even if he's going to swear, he's still going to be chayv. The brisa wouldn't make sense. It says here, that a socher has a din of a shomer socher, and he's chayv genei bava. But here he said, I want to pay, I don't want to swear. Mechlal, we could derive from that. If he wanted to, he could have pater himself by swearing. If he would have sworn that it's stolen, he would have been pater. But it's not true. A shomer socher who says that it was stolen is chayv to pay. So what's the brisa mean? Echidami, what's the case that he would have been put if he would have sworn? He going to cut on Tainus list of Mizuin. It must be. It must be that he's talking about that it was armed robbery. He Tainus that it was armed robbery. And that's why he's put And it says that it's considered that there is a tashlumi kefil over here. This armed robber, when he's found, if he's an armed robber, does he pay kefil or not? He was there's a Toin Tana. Tana here the case was not only a Toin Tana's gun. Here it was a real armed robber. He says that there was an armed robbery, and I'm put there. Even though I'm a Shamasocha, I'm put there because it was armed robbery. And then we find the armed robber, and we say you got to pay kefil. Who gets the kefil? The socha gets it because he took on to pay for it. So that's why he's the bailam now, and he's going to get the kefil. But the guy, the armed robber, it's Mashmud telling him you gotta pay kefil. Is that not a right of Yosef? If Yosef is the one who said that armed robber is a ganav, if he's a gazlan, then the armed robber says, "I'm a gazlan, I don't pay kefil." He started that years ago. He could go into Katan Tanis list of It must be that the socher was claiming that it was an armed robber, that or else he wouldn't have been putter. He was tying on putter because it was armed robbery. And it says that when the ganav is eventually found, who's the armed robber, so he pays kefil to the socher, but he pays kefil. Shami no list was doing ganavu. Is this not a proof? You see from here that a armed robber is considered a ganav and he pays kefil. So it's lemi mesayeli. This is a raya to Rav Yosef that said that an armed robber is called a ganav. Amri, so they said, he's answered the kasha, no, who says that it goes that this price holds like Rabbi Yehuda, that a shomer that a socher has a din of a shomer socher. You're all based on this assumption that the brisa is talking about a shomer, the same din as a shomer socher. Me savris Rabbi Yehuda, dam a shomer cannot say socher dami. You think the brisa is going to Rabbi Yehuda that holds that a renter has a din of a shomer socher and he's chayv b'gnei ba'aveda? You have to get complicated. It's talking about armed robbery. Dilma Rav Meir Sfile dam a shomer socher kishomer chinam dami. The price is simple. If you say that going to Rav Meir, so it says socher that said it was stolen. The pasha is stolen. Simple. Don't get excited. It's not an armed robbery. It's a regular shom machinam that said it was stolen and he's butter, and you have no right to the subject at all. So that's a simple dichoy that is going to Mandama. That's a shom machinam, and he's saying nigniva. That's why his butter has nothing to do with armed robbery over here. You only have to say armed robbery to say that a shom socher should be potter. The Shom Socher is usually chayiv on Gnei Bava Beda. And here's a case where the Shom Socher is going to be potter by saying, so you have to say they must be talking about armed robbery. But who's that? That's the case. We're going to our mayor, and it has din of Socher as din of Shom Machinam. And when he says that it was stolen, it means the pasha is stolen, and he meant to be potter because the Shom Machinam is potter. And at the end, the Ganav was found, so it's not right to anything. The next terrace is going to be very similar. Iboy Sema. The next thing is the same terrace again. It just switches around the names. Who's Rav Yehuda, Rav Meir? It doesn't change anything over here. We thought it's going according to the Mandama that says that he's like a Shoma Socha. It says no, Shoma Chinam. Who's the name? Till now we thought the name was Rav Meir. Now some say the opposite Girsa. Iva Yisemi the Machlef Rabba Baravua Batani Socher Kesim Meshalim Rav Meir Omer Kishoma Socha Rav Yehuda Omer Kishoma Chinam. It's the same terrace over again, but he says the Girsa is the opposite of the regular Girsa we have, and he holds that Rabbi Yehuda is the one who says Shom Machinam. So it's nice you can keep it like Rabbi Yehuda, we pass like, and it's only a Shom Machinam. But it's the same terrace over again. It's nothing to do with armed robbery. It has to do with a regular Shom Machinam, saying that it was stolen and he's putter, and at the end the Ganav was found, and he pays to the kefil to the Shom to the socher who was willing to pay. And the last there is Abzera Amar Rochav Ma'askinan the Toin Tanis List of Mazuyan. Mamish a simple terrace lachora. Maybe something's wrong. Maybe it's a difficulty here. But the case was that there might be a chiddush over here, but the socher has a din of a shoma socher, and in order to say that when he said it was robbed, that he's tying down putter, has to be that he was tying that it was armed robbery. The guy comes and says, "Where's my rental? Where's my cow?" He says it was armed robbery. So I'm putter. But I don't want to swear. I'm going to pay. And then at the end, they found the robber, but he wasn't armed. Comes out, it wasn't an armed robber. He was a simple robber. So he has to pay kefil. Right? The regular guy has to pay kefil. He's a regular guy. He has to pay kefil. And now the who's going to go to? It goes to the shomer because he was willing to pay. Even what was his taina? He only was pattering himself by saying it was armed robbery. If he would have said it's a regular robbery, then he would have been chayiv. But the case is that he had to say it didn't damn putter. He said it was armed robbery. At the end, they found the robber and he doesn't have any gun. He's not armed, so he has to pay kefil, and he's going to pay the kefil to the not to the owner, he's gonna pay to the sofer because he said he's gonna pay.
Right.
Once he says he's gonna pay, he takes over the benefit of getting careful if the ganav is found. He said that there's a chiddush over here because he says I'm gonna pay and I'm not gonna swear. I'm not gonna swear what? I'm not gonna swear that it was armed robbery. At the end, that's like a stickle. Of course you weren't gonna swear because you weren't gonna swear falsely. The regular case when the shomer says I'm gonna swear, that means I have a way of being potter. I'm really potter, and I could swear, but I'm gonna pay instead. So then he gets the schuyot of the kefil if it comes, if they find the robber. Here he's citing that as an armed robbery. He would have had to swear that it's armed robbery. Really, it wasn't. Really, it wasn't armed robbery. So to say that I could have sworn and I'm going to be potter, it's not mamish smooth. And the Gemara, this whole subject. Yes, please.
Couldn't it be that the robber stuck his finger, under his coat, and it looked like he had a gun, and then they found out when they caught him there was no gun. He was just using his finger and pretending. So really, the guy didn't lie. He thought it was armed robbery, but really it wasn't.
Uh-huh.
And so he's
Okay.
not such a guy, but
He thought it was armed robbery. He was willing to even swear then that it was.
there's a case where you might.
But at the end,
That was making potter.
no, but then, Ari is saying that if at the end it comes out that he was faking, even since he was faking that he was a armed robber, maybe that would have a din of a gosling.
Charged for pretending to
Uh-huh.
have in your pocket.
If you look at holding his finger in his pocket, looking like he's armed, maybe is as severe as actually having a gun. As far as this halacha that Goslin doesn't pay kefil, and only a gun pays kefil. If he's faking it as if he's armed, maybe he also would not pay kefil. The Gemara has to find the case which we're talking about. We want to say not like a Yosef. We want to say that armed robbery is considered a Goslin. Even though just to go back, if you're talking about that the whole thing was in secrecy, he didn't have to have any pocket, anything. He only what he really was. He wasn't trying to fake anybody. He didn't come when somebody was looking. He came at night. He came in secrecy. So the one who comes in secret, everyone's sleeping in the house, and he comes in and he's not going to put his finger into his pocket. He's not pretending to anybody. How did he tie in the list of Mizuyan?
That's why that's the my time on John.
Now we have Aiden that he saw that it was a list of Mizuyan and he didn't see it.
You turn down the system
Yeah,
because it was nice.
Okay,
That's-
I get it. Okay.
On the other hand, I understand problem with the Goslin. The Goslin comes at night. It's afraid of everybody else except for the Migzal. So is he going to be called Vegana?
Again,
The Goslin who comes at night because he's afraid of everybody
that's
else.
not called a gun. That's called a gun.
Even though he comes straight out and takes it from his hand.
Is that called a
Afraid of
gun? Everybody else, but only this person. It's a Goslin only. Everybody, even to the victim, has to be. I don't know.
So I don't know.
I don't know enough to know what's called a gun and a Goslin in the regular case. Okay, this thing is over. What happened? What happened over here? We had the real sugya was Shoma Beda. How did it come in? I don't know how it came in the whole sugya in the beginning. But the Shoma Beda, Machlokes Shabbat Nefesh, if it's considered Shoma Chinam Shoma Socha, Machlokes Rishonim, Machlokes Apos, can we pass command? Agav, it came in the sugya if a list of Mizuyan, if an armed robber is considered a Ganav or a Goslin as far as kefil goes. And if Yosef, in order to protect the Shita, you have to be Mechadish that a list of Mizuyan, if he comes in secrecy, maybe, is considered a Ganav. And that the Gemara was questioning, the Gemara tried to bring rayas, so Kashas, the Gemara didn't say anything. And Rabbi doesn't have to hold like that. This is a Chiddush of Yosef. In order to protect the Shita, he had to be Mechadish that a list of Mizuyan is a Ganav, and that the Gemara doesn't, I don't know what the halach is over here. Did I write anything on this? The list of Mizuyan? I don't see that I wrote about it. I don't know. Okay. Next sugya. It says in the Mishnah that if the sheep fell into somebody's garden, naftalagina benenis, mishlamis mashanenis. Even in the case where the owner is potter, because it was the onus that his animal fell into somebody's garden, so he doesn't have to pay for the hezek that was done because it's an onus. I don't have to expect my sheep should fall in. But the Mishnah says Bishla has to pay for whatever he benefited. And the Pashtus is benefited means that he ate. He had a good day over there, and
He saved on breakfast.
he saved on breakfast. And the owner would prefer how much that's worth to him. we had a machlokes once upon a time. We had a similar issue by Rosh Hashanah. That Shane and regular is part of Rosh Hashanah. With the Eslav to pay Mashanenis, whatever you saved on the animal's breakfast. And here says the same thing. There's a P'tor of onus, there's a P'tor of Rosh Hashanah, here's a P'tor of onus, but he's left to pay Mashanenis. So the one starts off Amarav Benech B'tar. I would put a period over here. I think that's Rashi means to say Benech B'tar. That the case of the Hana was that it was banged, the impact, and it was saved. It was saved from the chavata that the animal fell in, and he says means to say lachora that the menace la'ano here was not like I started saying about the breakfast that he ate and he had the owner saved on breakfast. He crushed the tomatoes over there, and it saves him from getting a big bang. He would have fallen onto the ground. He would have gotten hurt. But since there were tomatoes over there, he found the tomatoes, and he's fine. So we have to pay. The owner doesn't have to pay for the damage of the worth of the tomatoes because it was an onus. He didn't expect his animals to fall in, but he has to pay how much it's worth for him that his animal was protected from the brown. That's the hano. That's the hano that he has to pay. What?
Like the value of the animal.
Oh, what a got a broken bone. Now it's
Would be kosher anymore.
Saying he has to pay more than the tomatoes.
Yeah. I don't know.
The chorah would be how much.
What he's saying is it's going to be less than the.
Yeah.
It's a mushroom.
But that's less than no. In the case of the
Less than the value of the fruit.
of the fruit.
Less than the value.
So I think that maybe my son is how much you would pay to have a cushion over there.
no, well, even if it comes down more.
Pay half the value of the animal to have a cushion there, so the animal.
No, but even you don't need to say what I have
How much does a cushion cost?
and check it. But I thought even you I think that you can't be high more than the thing costs because you
Natural.
Well, the mother cost.
let's say the
Tomatoes.
tomatoes. Because you pay the chiddush is you don't have to pay out mazik, you pay but you nenas. But definitely you don't have to pay more than it costs. That's not a
Why?
shame.
So that's the chorah because that no, it's not going to be more than the worth of the tomatoes. Why
Why?
wouldn't it pay?
No, maybe
Why
you
should I pay more
would.
than all I need is tomatoes? If you, no, I think it's bullshit. I'm not sure that you're not paying for the benefit you have that the animal didn't die. You're paying for how much the cushion costs. So it's true that the tomatoes are expensive cushion. So I don't have to pay for that. I can pay for foam instead of foam mattresses.
No, but maybe this place, to put tomatoes here, I need rishus to put tomatoes here.
I think that's the way cheshbon how much a cushion is worth. You're not going to pay. Okay, more or less. But there's I know that Rav we wouldn't have thought of this. We would have thought that I know this usually means that he ate. And he says no. But he didn't say that. Rav said benechbut. That's all Rav said. I'm Rav benechbut. The Gemara starts. What do you mean to say that if he would have ate, he doesn't have to pay for eating? If he ate, you don't have to pay that either. Why not? So the Gemara could have asked plain, why not? And also we had a case, the horror of Rosh Hashanah, and the case where you put the shame spot of Rosh Hashanah, but you have to pay what you benefit. It's here also. Why shouldn't you pay what you benefit? But the Gemara thinks. So I don't understand this, and the Gemara is going to say right away that it doesn't make sense. So I'm not sure what the Gemara thought, what that means is. But the Gemara brings down Rav that says where do we have that? We had that in a case where somebody brought Paris into somebody else's courtyard where there's an animal. I put in my Paris over there, and the animal ate it up, and he got a stomachache. And you have to pay for the stomachache. Machlok was over there. Rav Shesha said yes. Rav says no, because who told him to eat? Not who told him to eat. He sees it, but it means another way of saying that I'm only a grummer. And I didn't shove it down his throat. So he ate. If it would have been that he slipped on it, I brought a Paris into somebody else's house, and he slipped on it. So then I got to pay. I made a bar on somebody else's wishes. But I put food over there, so it's enticed the animal to eat it, but not that he had to. So Rav says he's potter. So here the Gemara thinks for some reason that's to be a reason why. Opposite. I'm going to say I'm potter from paying for the benefit that my animal ate it because I didn't tell the animal to eat it. I don't get it. I don't get the words even. Over there, the mazik is saying I'm potter from paying for the hezek that my Paris damaged your animal because your animal got damaged by eating it, so he shouldn't have eaten it. But here I was saying that the one who brought his Paris, his animal, the one whose animal fell into somebody else's garden and ate. I want to say I'm potter because I didn't tell my animal to eat. I don't know what to say. I don't even know how to say the translation. But that's the words of the Gemara. And the Gemara right away objects. Amri, what's the comparison? Why did Rav say that he should have not eaten when she was damaged? The animal ate a lot, got a stomachache, and the owner of the fruit says, I didn't tell her to eat. The Matzamalei, Mori the Peri, Lama Shalamna. The owner of the Paris could say that I don't want to pay for the damage done to your animal because you shouldn't have eaten it. But Lazuke Hiachmini, the Petiru Lashlume Miyama, did he say that this is a tour that it was mazik others, like here, that it ate Paris is a reason why the owner shouldn't have, if the animal shouldn't have to pay? Like what kind of time is that?
Like the owner of the cow should say, well, I didn't tell my cat and my cow to divorce somebody.
That you have to watch. That you have to watch it. No, there you have to watch it. It's not watching it is considered that you didn't do your responsibility. And regular shame for regular also even though it goes into somebody's field. So we say, I can't say I shouldn't have eaten because you're responsible to make sure it doesn't go to somebody else's field. But here, it's an onus that it came into the field. I didn't have to, it's just going to fall in somebody's garden. So I'm putter for that. So you're just telling me my animal ate and I benefited. And I say that I don't have to pay because I didn't tell to eat. It shouldn't have eaten. But we're not talking about we're talking about the Yechai because you benefited. You benefited $10 because you're not paying for breakfast today. So what does that have to do? The animal shouldn't eat. And I don't get. The Gemara doesn't say it as strong as we're saying it. The Gemara does understand. So I don't understand. I don't understand what the time is that it shouldn't have eaten. I don't understand. But in any way, in case the Gemara erases it and says Rabbi didn't mean to say that at all. Rabbi just said I'm a Rabbi Nechpata. So that's what the Gemara says on top of the next page. Ella, Lomi Boya kamma. He meant to say it goes without question. It means he didn't say the second part. He's looking at the Gemara. I put the period where Rashi puts the period. I'm a Rabbi Nechpata. He didn't say the rest of the sentence that Achla is Potter. He just said Nechpata, and he means to say even Nechpata. Of course, if he ate, he has to pay. Lomi boy Achla the Mishnah Mashanenis. That goes without saying that he has to pay for that. No, if the animal ate, so you gained on breakfast, so you got to pay for how much you want to pay for breakfast. You might think that he doesn't. In the case of the cushion, that you don't have to pay for that. You do have to pay for if it ate. That you do have to pay for. Your animal ate. It fell in bonus. You do have to pay for how much you gained on breakfast today. But on the animal's breakfast. But you might think that if the food cushioned the blow, and that's why it didn't get hurt, you might think they don't have to pay for that either. You don't have to pay for the value of the cushion because it's considered mavriach hari. What's mavriach hari? You chase away a lion. You see a lion coming into your friend's field, and it's dangerous, and you went to the trouble of chasing it away. And then you come to say, pay me for chasing it away. So you can't collect. You can't demand money for chasing away because you just prevented the damage. You didn't put anything into it. I'm not sure what going to be the Agdar is going to be. How would you say it? How would you say the Agdar?
I don't know.
The Gemara soon going to talk. The Gemara soon going to say something that might shed some light. But here it says the system.
I'm not getting the chasing away the lion as opposed to the fruits. What's the?
No, the fruit protected the sheep from getting damaged. So that's called preventive. It didn't get damaged. It's the same way if I prevented a damage coming into your field by chasing away the lion from your flock. You had a flock of sheep, and a lion comes, he's going to take a sheep, and I chase them away. I can't demand payment because I just prevented a damage. So preventing a damage, you don't have a right to collect money. So here too, the fact that my tomatoes protected your sheep from the fall, I can't demand payment for that because I just protected I prevented a damage. That's what he seems to say. That you might have a havamina that you don't pay for it. The other case also mavriach hari, if somebody has a debt and you pay up somebody's debt, nobody asked you to. Nobody asked you to, and you go and pay somebody's debt. And then he comes to say the one who paid up comes to the loba and says, I paid up your debt, pay me. He said, I didn't ask you to. He does the mavriach hari. It took away the lender from knocking on my door. But I didn't you didn't give me anything. You just were mavriach hari. I don't have anything in my pocket. You just took away a problem that I had. I had a problem that he's knocking on my door. So that's not enough to demand payment. The other Gemara thinks you might think that the tomatoes that cushioned the fall of the sheep, you can't collect money for that because you just prevented the damage. So the Gemara says, why? But Kamash Malan, perhaps says Kamash Malan, you do pay for it. You do pay for the nechpata also, not only for eating the fruit, you also pay even for the cushioning of the damage. So the question is, maybe he's right. Maybe you should be put there. It's only mavriach hari. Why do you have to pay for the cushioning? The answer is a difference. Mavriach hari that the case of mavriach hari, the person who did it, the one who chased away the lion, he did it consciously. He knew what he's doing. His own free will, and he seems that he's doing it. You might think he's going to get paid for it. That might be, but he did it consciously. He did it willingly. and over there he can't collect for it. But over here, the owner of the tomatoes didn't willingly put his tomatoes there in order to save the fall of the fall of the sheep. If the sheep fell onto his tomatoes, so there he could demand. It comes out that you have to go to all the cases of Mavriach Hari, and it's only if it happened on its if he did it consciously. But if it happened on its own, so then he could demand, maybe he could demand money. Inami, another difference. Mavriach Hari minech sechavei less leib seder. High leib seder. It didn't cost anything to chase away the lion, and that. But here I lost my tomatoes. It could be, according to this, if a person did spend money to chase away the lion, maybe he is going to collect. It's only because he didn't lose any money. But if he did lose money, maybe he's going to be able to collect. Taisas Kashas, let's end it at Sugya. Taisas Kashas, for other cases, the Gemara says, where he did lose money. If he pays somebody's debt, he pays somebody's debt. The Gemara calls it Mavriach Hari. He lost money, he paid his debt. So according to our Gemara, the second teretz, if you lose money, you do collect. And that Gemara says you don't. So Taisas Kashas. Taisas talks about other places, how we utilize this far called Mavriach Hari, how it applies in other cases. But that's the two reasons our Gemara says to explain Rab. Of course, you're chayiv if the animal leads to pay mashanelis. You even chayiv for the cushioning, and that's a chiddush because you might say Mavriach Hari. Kamash Malan, two reasons is not Mavriach Hari, either because he didn't do it consciously. The owner of the tomatoes didn't consciously put his tomatoes over there, and therefore he can demand the payment for his tomatoes, for his cushioning, how much he lost, how much it was worth to the other guy. And the second there says that the Mavriach Hari doesn't have any loss. Here he has a loss, so he could demand this loss. You can't ask a charge for the service of sending away that net because you didn't lose any money. But if you spend money, maybe there would be. Nugamara, Heichi Nafal. What's the case that it says there was a fell ba'onus, that the sheep fell into the garden ba'onus, and then he was mazik. You don't have to pay. It means he ate things he doesn't have to pay. Heichi Nafal. That's the question of the Gemara. What's the case? How did the Lamaisa fall in? So the Gemara is going to talk about what's considered an onus. The sheep fell in bonus. What's the case? Rav Kana Amar that it urinated and then it slipped in its own urine. So it's mamish that he has. That's mamish an onus. That I don't know why it doesn't say some puddle was there. I'm not sure. Then you go to the one who made the puddle. Maybe it rained. It rained. There was a puddle. It's the same thing. If it rained and that puddle came, he slipped on the puddle, or maybe what's that?
You've been sponsored for.
Maybe the owner of the sheep should know that is it's my slip on a puddle, but it doesn't. But in its own urine, that it can't stop it, that it shouldn't urinate, that it can't do. So then it slipped in its own urine. So I'm an onus. That's the case of an onus that the owner of the sheep is put there, that I didn't have to think that it's going to fall into somebody's garden. That another sheep pushed it in. They were going. The flock was going, and one sheep pushed another sheep, and it fell over into somebody's garden, and then he started eating over there. So the owner didn't have to expect that. And now the Gemara says that this point is a machlokes. That's why we had there. Rava, who says that's considered an onus. Surely holds that slipping in its own urine is considered an onus. That's surely what could the owner do? So it's sure that's not a machlokes. The case of everybody else is considered an onus. But they changed the gear, say peshiyahi. That's considered a pshia. If one sheep pushes another sheep, so then you can't say, I didn't know that my sheep was going to fall in. You should have known because the whole flock is going, and that's what sheep do. They push each other. They don't go so they're not so careful. So you should have known that. You should have passed your sheep by in a single file. When you're taking your sheep in the street, so make them in a single file. Don't make the whole flock together when it's going next to a place where it could fall into somebody's garden. So that's a machlokes if that's considered a pshia or not. Everybody holds it's an onus if it slips on his own urine, and a machlokes if it's considered an onus that it got pushed in because maybe the owner should have made his flock go by in a single file. New Gemara. Amar Rav Kana, lo shana ve'ela bosa aruga. Now the question is, good, it fell in the onus. Now what? So how does the owner have a responsibility to take it out? I would have thought yes. I don't understand the Gemara. Why not? It fell in bonus, but now it's still your sheep, so get it out. And the Gemara talks about that once it fell in bonus, I'm not sure, not chayiv right away. Amar Rav Kana, lo shanu ela me'os aruga, aruga laruga meshlemes mashezika. That as long as it's going in that row, it fell into one patch of tomatoes. As long as it's that row, that's all machmas the onus, and the onus not chayiv to pay for the damage, only for the benefit, but not for the damage. But if it get into that, once it goes to the next patch, so then by that time, the owner should have come down and take out his animal, even though telling bonus, but he's responsible to get it out. That's Rav Kana. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, afilu ma'ruga leruga, afilu kol hayom kulo. Once it fell in bonus, so then it's onus. I wasn't responsible to think it's going to get in, and even if it fell in bonus, I don't have to get it out. I don't understand. I don't understand. Well, why not? It's your animal. Why don't you? It's true. An onus happened. That's how it fell in. But I don't have to get it out. And even if it's eating the whole day, it's walking around having a good time over there. Shane, regular.
Yeah, Cloud Chilasa Bainis to say Shia, such a thing.
I never heard of it. I don't know. Chilasa ba'onis. So you should be butter. And Sofa Ripshia, it's Sofa Ripshia. You have a chuv right now. Why you have a chuv right now? Over there it talks about that one caused the other. Here, why am I not a chuv to get it
Have to
out
say
now?
that he knew about it right away.
If he doesn't know about it, he doesn't know about it. Like, how's he know?
Maybe.
Then it wouldn't be totally an aruga.
Maybe he didn't know about it at all. And even so, the store was only within the mamish place.
I think next line is going to say that once he finds out about it, let's see one more line. I'm not sure that we're going to talk about it. Even if it goes another patch, even the whole day, you put everything. Until it goes out, till it came out of the patch, came out of that garden, not patch, came out of the garden, and then they go back in. Then you that shouldn't go in again. The word ladas, the word I was going to explain. These words, till it goes out and comes back with your knowledge.
So right, so as long as it's in there, we could keep on doing.
Keep on eating, as long as it's in there. So only if it comes, and it says Farish over here, even if you know about it, but if it didn't go out, you're potter still. At this point, I've listened. At this point, it already says that as long as it's in there, I'm not mechuyev. Only if it came out, then I knew about it. So it means as long as it's inside, even though I know about it, I don't have to get it out. So I don't understand this far. That's the what it says. Only now, this word you can read two ways. The pasuk you might read until you know that it came out and you know that it went in again. Papa doesn't mean that.
Anyone would be mechayiv to stop it.
What?
Anyone would be chayiv to stop it.
Then it's that it shouldn't go in again. Right.
Let's say if someone's walking by and they see a sheep going nuts.
Or somebody else.
Anyone.
No. Then it's a Shabbos Aveda only. That's a Shabbos Aveda. It's supposed to do it. It's supposed to do a Shabbos Aveda. You see somebody's field is being eaten up by a sheep that wandered in, whatever, fell in bonus. So it's not a Shabbos Aveda.
Standing there on the side watching.
You're right. The Shabbos Aveda, but you're not going to have to pay for it if you don't.
No, they didn't.
But the owner of the sheep is going to have to pay at a certain time. So here it says, Tanakama says, I've kind of said that once it goes to the next patch, so the owner is trying to get it out already. He's going to have to pay for the damages in the
patch within the gate.
Within the gate, yeah. Even though the getting in there was bonus, but once it goes to another patch in that field, in that gina, you're mechuyev. Rabbi Yochanan says you're pater because the fellow bonus, even if it goes to patch, it's still pater. When are you chayiv? Only if it goes out and it comes back in with your knowledge. Now, if Papa explains Rabbi Yochanan meant, lo teimash it it doesn't mean to say that you know that I went out and you know that I came back in again. Once you know that it came out, now you have to have responsibility again, even if you don't know that it went back in again. Why? The kasha is going in again. Is again it's going to fell in bonus. So I should be part if it fell in a second time. Become my timer. Damalei came the alpha. Came the alpha. Once it learned, it fell into Gan Eden over there. It's true. The first time that it fell, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't your fault, and it wasn't expected, and it fell in bonus. But now he found he discovered America over there. He found that there's a garden that's full of good tomatoes. So now we know the sheep is going to get there already. So once it gets out, you're responsible to make sure it doesn't go back again. You can't say I didn't think it's going to go in again. Once it went one time, it's going to try to go there again. But since it learned about this new place, whenever it slips away, it's going to go there. It's going to run over there. Whenever it slips away, it's going to run over there. So therefore, you're able to make sure that it shouldn't go there. So once it came out with your knowledge, you're responsible to make sure it doesn't go in again. Don't think that Yochanan meant to say that you're not responsible unless you know that it came out and you know that it came in. Again, even if you know that it came out, you have your responsibility because now it's going to go in on its own. But what do you see from this? You see that even if you see it, you're standing on top and you see that your animal fell in bonus and is having a good time over there. You don't have to take it out, even if you know about it. Only if you know that it came out. So I don't understand. How could that be? You own it, and it's your animal that's being mazik, and you can take it out. You're not going to take it out because it fell in bonus. So I don't understand. I guess we'll stop here. Second wide line.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good.
תודה.